Good morning, LPES, and happy Friday feeling. Guess what? I feel like it's been forever since we've had a Friday feeling because we were supposed to have one last week and then we had a snow day, and so our Friday feeling didn't happen. And then the week before that, we were on break, and then the week before that, it was the week before break when we did do one, but goodness, that feels like a long time ago. A lot has happened between then and now. And a lot is still happening here at our school. A lot of things are going on. A lot of exciting things are coming up. And I want to tell you about one of them before we really got into today's lesson, before we really got into today's Friday feeling. And that is a special announcement that I have. So I want you to think for a moment, especially my older students. You've probably at some point had a teacher who had a student teacher. Do y'all know what that is? Let me explain, especially for our younger kids who maybe haven't had a student teacher before. A student teacher is someone who is learning how to be a teacher. And what better way to learn how to do something than coming into a school and getting to actually see and learn from someone who's doing it and follow them around and start to teach the classes too. Well, we have the same type of thing for school counselors. But instead of calling them student teachers, sometimes we call them an intern. Sometimes we just call them like an assistant school counselor. So we are actually going to be really lucky here at LPES because starting next week, when we all come back from our 3-day weekend on Tuesday, we are going to have another school counselor, kind of, with us. And that's going to be Miss Nazaro. So Miss Nazaro is her name. I gotta find out if she goes by Miss Nazaro or Miss N, but I'll let you know. And Miss Nazaro is going to be following me around. She is learning how to be a school counselor. She went to college to become a school counselor, and she's in her final bit of training where she gets to follow a school counselor around and see what it's like. And I'm really excited for her to be here because I can't wait to introduce her to each and every one of you. What's going to happen in the next few weeks is Miss Nazaro and I will be coming into your classes. We will be coming into the lunchroom. She might be coming in and even doing some lessons with you as the weeks go on. And I think you're going to really enjoy getting to know her. Now, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. You guys are stuck with me. So I'm still going to be here too. But it's going to be like we have 2 school counselors almost for the next couple of months, which is really exciting. And I also know, my LPES students, you guys are going to do everything you can to make her feel super welcome here. It's okay if you forget her name. I'll keep reminding you. I'm hoping that maybe she'll even come on our Friday feeling videos sometimes. But I can't wait for that. So I wanted to let you know in advance before she gets here so that when you start seeing her around the building, you can kind of figure out who that is. If you see someone who's always walking with Mrs. Heffler, you'll know that it's Miss Nazaro, our school counseling intern. So welcome to her, and I can't wait for next week for all of you to meet her. Okay, so let's get started today. My energy is kind of high. It's actually the end of Thursday when I'm recording this. You all just left the building a few minutes ago. So I want to take a moment after a long day, and also I want you to take a moment before a long day, before your Friday gets started, to get ourselves nice and settled. For right now, I want you to pause. Can you do exactly what I just did? Can you take a deep breath in and kind of sigh it out? Might sound kind of funny. Let's do one of those together one more time. Deep breath in. Let it all go. So we sigh out those feelings. Sigh out all that tension that we're holding. Take one more quiet deep breath in for me now. Hold it and let it go. Good. Do one more of those with me. Deep breath in and let it go. Now, I've had a few students coming up to me in the hallways these past couple of weeks telling me some new breathing exercises that they've come up with. I know we had our mountain breathing that we did a few weeks ago, which was really cool. And I have another one. I feel so bad because I can't remember who it was from. I think it may have been from Jasmine in 1st grade. I think, but I'm not positive. So if it wasn't Jasmine, I'm really sorry. And if it was Jasmine, great. This breathing exercise comes to us from someone, I think Jazz, and it is circle breathing. Really simple idea. What we're going to do is we start at the top. We breathe in as we go around the circle. When you hit the bottom, you breathe out again. Let's see if we could do that together. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. In and out. Nice job, my friends. Let's do a little bit of chair stretches today too, just to get our bodies moving and whatnot. Let's take your hands. You're going to lace your fingers together. You're going to stretch up towards the sky. Let's reach over to one side. I'm going to my right side. You can go to whichever side you please. Take a deep breath in while we're here. Let it go. Let's come back to center. And let's go back over to the other side now. Stretch that arm. You should feel this all right in here, down the side of your body. Stretching, stretching, stretching. Good. Come forward. All right. Carefully, you're going to kind of push your... Actually, let's loosen up your hands for a moment. Now I want you to take your hands. Whichever way you had your fingers before, try and stack it. Ooh, I almost did that wrong. The other way. This way probably feels a little different. Maybe we're not used to lacing our fingers together that way. Before, I know I had my left hand on top and my right hand underneath, and now I have it the reverse. So it definitely feels a little different. Let's take another deep breath in, stretch it up one more time. And this time you're going to lean forward, pushing your hands forward. Mine are going right into the camera. Deep breath in. And come back up. Shake those arms out. Shake, 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 shake. And shake out your shoulders. Let's roll those shoulders up towards our ears. I love this stretch. This one's one of my favorites. And then roll them forward. Beautiful. All right, my friends. So let's talk about this past week and the week coming up. You remember, we've been talking about those mountain peaks, the best part of our weeks, and those valleys below, the parts that maybe went so-so. Parts that weren't super great, maybe the things that we thought were going to go better than they did, maybe reactions we had to things that weren't super wonderful. I'm going to tell you, even as a grown-up, even as a school counselor, happens to me, where I say something or I do something and afterwards I regret it. I don't feel great about it. And the trick is that we start to learn those cues that our body's giving us, telling us that we're in a place where we're going to make some poor choices, and then trying to give ourselves some space, some time to kind of recover before we do something that then we regret. All right? So let's think about this past week. Let's first think about those valleys, okay? I want you to think about the things that didn't go really well. I have mine in my head. Think about what it felt like. Think about how it made us feel. Think about maybe how it made other people feel around us. And now I want you to do something a little bit more advanced, all right? We're building on those skills that we have. I want you to try and think about what happened right before that event. Were we feeling really tired? Were we feeling really stressed? Were we feeling overwhelmed? Maybe we were feeling hungry. Sometimes when we're hungry or thirsty, we don't make the best decisions either. Think about what it was that you felt right before you did whatever that thing was that didn't go super great. Pay attention to it and think about moving into next week, how we could try and approach it differently, how we can try and avoid whatever it was that set us off or whatever it was that we regretted from this past week. Okay, let's go to the mountain peaks. You ready? Climbing up, 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 boop, 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 up to the top. Okay, think about your mountain peak, the best part of your week, the thing that went awesomely, the thing that was better than you even anticipated it being. Think about how that made you feel. And think about the ways that going into next week, maybe we could do the same. Or maybe we could do something similar. Think about another way that you can reach that mountaintop next week in these coming days, or even this weekend. Doesn't have to be at school, it can be at home too. Okay, my friends, kind of switching gears a little bit. Right before break, you and I were talking about a pretty big word, and that word is perseverance. It's a word that's on our hallway in the front of the school. When you walk in through the main doors, if you come off the bus, it is the first hallway sign that you see up on the corner. as if you were going to turn down towards the first grade, second grade, kindergarten classes, okay? And that word perseverance, what it means is it means we don't give up. We keep trying, even when things get hard, even when we feel like we can't do it anymore, even when we just want to throw in the towel and quit. It means that when we're faced with something tough, we try to problem solve. We try to be almost like little detectives, figuring out what it is that we could do to solve whatever the problem may be. Now, this could be a math problem, okay? But it can also be something simple, like maybe your backpack is a mess and you don't know where your things are and you want to just like leave your backpack at school. You don't even want to deal with it. But instead, you persevere. You take a few moments to clean your backpack out, to put your things away nice and neatly, and that makes you feel a bit better. Maybe you need to persevere with something with a friend or a family member. Maybe you're always fighting with your brother or sister, and instead of giving up and just having a fight with them or getting frustrated with them, we persevere by trying to compromise, trying to come up with something that we can both agree on or something that we can both get along about. I want to read you a story today. It feels like it's been a while since we had a book that we're reading together. And this book is one of my favorites. My students are in 4th grade right now, I think. I maybe read this to you last year at the very beginning of 3rd grade. So some of you might be familiar with it. Some of you may be like, Mrs. Epler, I don't really remember what I ate for breakfast today, so that's okay too. Whether you know it or not, it's always great for us to hear a good story twice because sometimes that message really gets the chance to sink in. It's called The Koala Who Could by Rachel Bright. The Koala Who Could. By Rachel Bright and Jim Field. In a wonderful place, where the day was just dawning, and the breezes blew soft on a gold winter morning. Mrs. Heffler already made a mistake. On a warm, golden morning, not winter morning. In a place where the creatures ran wild and played free, a koala called Kevin clung to a tree. You can see him all the way up there in that tree. A nicer gray fellow you never would meet, as a soft thing from ear tufts to feet. His favorite way to relax in the sun was to cling and to nap and to munch a leaf bun. And after all this, well, he'd need a nice rest. Yes, Kevin liked sticking to what he knew best. So it sounds like Kevin has some habits, some things that he likes to do, a routine that he kind of has for himself. Sometimes we have these routines and they make us feel really good and comfortable. Let's see what happens to his routine. You see, high up was safe since he liked a slow pace, while the ground down below seemed a frightening place. Too fast and too loud and too big and too strange. Nope! Kevin preferred not to move or to change. So he clung to his tree, and he knew what to do, and was never too keen to try anything new. So when Wombat stopped by and shouted one day, "Hey, Kevin, why don't you come down here and play?" I think, he replied, "I should stay on my plant. I'm busy right now. No, I'm sorry, I can't." "Why not?" cried the Ruse, with a super loud cheer. "Yes, why?" cried the Dingoes. "There's nothing to fear." But Kevin, who'd never been one to act fast, said, "I've clinging to do, but it's nice that you asked." So you can see he loves staying in his tree. He really doesn't want to leave. And all of his friends are trying to get him to come down to the ground below, and he's like, "Nope, not for me. I'm not going to do that. Not really comfortable with it." As Kevin sat watching them chatter and share, a part of him wished he could join in down there. You can see they're all around the fire singing songs together. And he's just up alone in the tree. Poor Kevin. But he knew he'd missed home. It was dark and so late. The whole thing was risky. Adventure could wait. Whatever the invite, he'd always say no. Oh dear, it seemed Kevin just couldn't let go. I want you to pause for a moment, and I want you to think of a time that you felt like Kevin did, where you were really comfortable with something. Maybe it's even recently. Maybe it's at home, being home in your bed. Maybe coming back from break was a little tough. Maybe it's something like going to a new class. This can sometimes be scary when you start a new school year. Maybe it's starting a new activity, like your first day at basketball. Maybe you're feeling a little nervous about that, and that makes you not want to do it. Whatever it might be, I want you to think of a time that, like Kevin, you're kind of afraid to do something new or kind of afraid to change that routine. So his life was the same no matter the day. The weeks came and went, and the months rolled away, and Kevin stayed still while the world moved around until he awoke to a worrying sound. Could see him up in that tree every single day. Tap, tap, the sound went. Well, this was a blow. Tap, tappity tap, 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 tap. Oh no. What do you guys think is going to happen? Uncling, the crowd called, which had gathered below. Leap, and we'll catch you. Just let yourself go. But Kevin was scared. Let go? No, I shan't. I won't, shouted Kevin. Oh dear, I just... Oh, and that tree is starting to break because that woodpecker... I can't! Whoomph! Down came the tree, and with it was bringing crash and a wallop, a Kevin still clinging. Kevin, he carefully opened one eye and looked up at the love staring down from the sky. Then, one paw by one paw, he loosened his hold. He felt springy and light and happy and bold. The worst he could think of had now come to pass. And he was just fine. Well, he felt quite first class. So when Wombat leaned over and held his paw out, Kevin no longer felt worry or doubt. When Dingo asked, "Now will you come out to play?" the crowd all joined in with a, "What do you say?" And even though this wasn't part of his plan, Kevin replied, "Yes, I think that I can." And Kevin, from then on, was always can do, because life can be great when you try something new. All right, my friends. That is the end of our story. I love this book. I think it's so sweet. First of all, because Kevin is just adorable. Isn't he just the cutest little koala guy? I love this, though, because it talks a lot about when our routines get disrupted unexpectedly, or when we're forced to have a big change that we weren't anticipating or we really didn't want to do, right? Kevin was so happy up in his tree. That's all he wanted. He wanted to stay up there. He saw all his friends down below. He saw all of them having this great, wonderful, happy life, getting to spend time together. And though he wanted that too, he was too afraid of all the other things to really push past that fear and to persevere and face his fears or to do something that scared him, that made him uncomfortable. Until that woodpecker came along and tap, tap, tappity tapped his tree and it fell down. And he no longer had a choice, right? He didn't have the option to stay up in his tree anymore because now it was down on the ground. And instead of just shutting down, instead of just refusing to leave his tree branch, even though it was down on the ground, he faced his fears. And he found that life was actually better than it was beforehand because he was able to be with other kids. He was able to be with other people. So the worst thing that he thought could happen, happened. And he found that even after that, he was still able to be okay. Now, that's not to say that every bad thing we face is going to be easy. And it's not to say that after every tough thing we have to do, we're going to feel great like Kevin did. But it is to say that sometimes when we face our fears, it's actually worth it. Sometimes. And sometimes when we do something that scares us, when we persevere or we have perseverance, we're able to discover a whole new piece of our life that we didn't know about before. So I hope as you go into your weekend, as you go into next week, you remember my cute, adorable little friend Kevin, the koala who could, and how even when he was terrified, when he didn't think he could do something, he pushed past that, he persevered, and he was able to find joy and happiness and celebration. So I hope that book inspires you a little bit. It certainly inspires me whenever I read it. And I hope that you're left with a great message going into this weekend. I will see you on Tuesday, my friends. I hope you all have a wonderful 3-day weekend. And I can't wait to introduce you to Miss Nazaro next week. And so I look forward to all of that. You know what to do, LPES. Stay kind.